I've been asked to speak about my particular organization, which I'm here not as the sole representative of, but I'd like to introduce you to my colleague Andrea Meza, who works with me, and then they Bill Minter, and we run an organization called Making the Road. I want to describe Making the Road. It came out of my own experiences going to Africa as an Antioch college student in 1965-66 and becoming involved in the liberation movements in Southern Africa, which just blew my mind because I had come out of American schools that gave me no idea of what was happening in that part of the world, though I'd gone to very specialized kinds of schools. So that Making the Road, which I founded in about 2006, 2000, probably 2002, was an effort to create a vehicle that people who don't normally get to travel and see the world and form relationships with people outside of their normal milieu of struggle and work could get the opportunity to do that and do it not at a great cost, so that exposure became available to people who were not necessarily from a ruling class or from the 1% families. And the start of this really was when I took a group of church people from Sweden to South Africa in 2000, where they went specifically at the invitation of the South African Council of Churches to witness, and this was in about 1990, to witness the violence that was still going on in South Africa prior to the release of Mandela and prior to the elections in South Africa. In doing these trips, what I've found is that one of the things that's a cardinal objective of them is to have people live and learn about solidarity and what doing solidarity is all about. The trips have gone to various places, including South Africa, Namibia, Mozambique, Angola, Brazil, Cuba, Guatemala. They have involved both, it's been very intergenerational deliberately, they have been interracial deliberately, so that as much exploring of our own challenges and contradictions in our own society struggle is encountered during the trip, as is the whole issue of what we learn and are exposed to in the travel. For example, we first met each other when I took a group of people to Cape Town, and that group of young people interacted with young people who were involved with Roads Must Fall, and many of the people in my group had come out of Black Lives Matter and also BYP 100. Janae is an example who spoke to us yesterday. Her first exposure was that. Out of that trip, she then made other trips to South Africa, and that's the exact kind of objective that we have. That the trip itself kicks off many other trips and engagement. I think in many respects, the trips to Cuba have been the sort of ultimate example of the purpose of this kind of pedagogy of travel, you might call it. This last summer, we made a trip to Cuba, and there we met with what was the artist's name? Cacho, one of Cuba's great artists. And the whole experience of being with him that afternoon in Havana was about feeling and understanding better the values and the intentions and the shared experiences of Cuban people. And that was just wonderful for people in our group to get that possibility, because I think really all these situations we're talking about at some level are really about values and what gets to be embedded in people's hearts. And the other thing was this great role of song and poetry. We took a group once to Mozambique, and the great artist Malangatana, who was just an amazing artist, and his biggest thing, like the president of Mozambique, Samora Machel, was never just talking to people. He would always, Kalimambo, Mozambique. He always would break into song. That was the way he is. I mean, it was the way Samora is. It was this constantly sharing what was in people's hearts that I think motored the tenacity of the Mozambican people. It has motored the tenacity of the South African struggle. And hearing our sister the other night began to lead us in that song about the enemy, the landlord. What is it? It wasn't shoot him down. What was it? Get him down somehow. I got to get those words from you so I can do it on the west side. You know, and then having them lead us in these slogans like Amandla. You know, these are very, very important. It was an old slogan also out of the civil rights struggle. And one of the things that I think we that we come away with is a sense that we don't have enough of that song and energy in our own struggles in this country. We don't ever sing. You know, I'm so tired of hearing "We Shall Overcome." I don't know what to do. That's the only song you ever hear in America. They don't know no other song but "We Shall Overcome." I really don't have that much to offer. I think that one of the things I do want to say is that I think that these trips form a possibility, afford people a possibility to learn about camaraderie in another way. It is about learning how you become so attached to people in struggle that it transcends race altogether. It transcends gender. It's about who will take a bullet for you. When you meet people who take a bullet for you, you've gone beyond those things altogether. I think that I can't say enough to you, sister, what it means to me to hear you say that Ferguson was what really you all. Because it's such a powerful statement, and particularly right now, in large parts of the west side of Chicago where the stores are all run by Arabs or Persians, people like that, they'd be shocked, those community folk, to hear you say, it would mean so much to them to hear someone like you say Ferguson meant a great deal to me. It would give them a new kind of energy, and I think that's part of what the real meaning of solidarity is all about. Just a couple other points, and I don't want the little note coming my way. I think the Cubans have provided a special kind of example. That every trip, I've been there about 7 times, every trip I get more convinced that they do solidarity in a way that nobody else does. And that is, it's about for them, it's putting forward the most vulnerable people and being there for those most vulnerable people. I have no doubt in my mind that the Cubans now are watching Florida and saying, what can we do? That's their first instinct for looking at situations. Of course, we'll have the president of Orangehead say nothing, and his colleagues and associates. But we don't have any staff, paid staff really. The closest is the little pittance that we give to Andrea. We are going to try to get some support from some of these foundations that don't believe in supporting efforts like this. Instead, they just want to keep helping the same old privileged people travel. Because one of the things we now want to try to do is to do a new kind of, a deeper kind of solidarity where we have a large group of 25 or 30 teachers that will go from all the different school systems around Chicago to South Africa and Namibia, spend time in the schools with teachers there, form relationships with those teachers in their neighborhoods, in their reality, in the way that Paulo Freire talks about that. And then afterwards come back and then invite in the next stage some of the teachers and community workers that they've been with to come to Chicago and to be with them in Chicago. And I think we get out of that a growth in technique and in capacity to make change in wage revolution. I'm finished. Thank